So when people dropping the N word, is it typically white folks, black folks, Hispanic folks, Indian folks,
So
Russians?
that's a good question because it is different depending on who's dropping it.
Right.
And what I'm talking about is the white folks dropping it, because it's being dropped in a very hurtful manner. It's being dropped
Oh,
in an attacking manner. Now, there's black folks that come in too and will use it as a greeting almost,
right.
and even that, like, that's way different. But I still, like, I still, I don't think we can allow that, because then we got to police it, then we got to say, oh wait, you've got a card so you can say it,
Right.
you don't, your
What kind of
avatar
card?
looks like you can. What's that?
What kind of card?
What, you trying to get me canceled?
Welcome to Well Metaverse, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrels navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride.
There he is, Jason Earls. Thank you for being here, sir.
Here we go. Here we go. What's happening, dude? I love how everybody who's listening to this, before, like, we really don't have much conversation outside of the podcast. So I just asked before Aaron hit record. I just said, "How you doing?" He was like, "Let's just talk. Let's hit record."
Yeah. Well, and my answer to that, how am I doing? I gotta be honest, man. I am tired. I am.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it now. Like, this has been a big week, and this morning, actually, kind of getting my thoughts together for us connecting, I started looking back through, and anyway, November 12th, my wife and I went up to Fair State University and met with a guy who was involved in the beta test of
Yeah.
Horizon Worlds. And at that meeting, on November 12th, which is what, 3 months ago, I asked the question, how do I get access to this beta? So
Right.
that's like November 12th, the idea started. And That's 3 months ago, and a lot's happened. And like the whole first 2 months of things, like, was just me experiencing Horizon Worlds, learning how to build a little bit, learning the people. What is that, Humpty Dumpty?
No, it's not. It's not Humpty Dumpty. This is from a children's book that I that I have. Hold on, let me see if I can
Oh,
grab. I'm
yeah, yeah,
listening to
yeah.
you.
Get that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me, while you're getting that. So the first 2 months was just kind of feeling it out and learning what this new space is, and then really looking back on it. It was the first week in January when we got a capacity increase, so we could actually have like a full room of people.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff has happened since the first week of January, and it's just, honestly, it's overwhelming. It's mentally and emotionally taxing, and it's hard to stay on top of. And actually, I'm not on top of it by any means, but yeah, I mean, we're, as of this week, we're now up to 31,000 total visitors. That's up
Wow.
3,500 first time visitors since we talked last week. That's over a 10% increase, and it feels like things have slowed down. Like that's the pace of it slowing down. 2,250 people have liked the world since last, or overall total. That's up 200 people from last week that we spoke. So that's up about 10%. The team Soapstone, the Facebook group, that are people that are what I would consider highly engaged, that's up to 750 members. So
Sheesh.
that's a 100-person increase, and we've lost some people. There's a filtration process. Some people get in and then get out. But net gain is 100 people, and that's what, like, a 18% growth or something week by week. It's overwhelming, dude. And I'm
Bro.
tired. I'm tired.
So what would you say is the largest contributor to you being tired?
Man, see, this is what I love about this. That is a question that cuts to the heart of it. And I'll tell you, the most emotionally draining and taxing thing is this battle with the people that want to ruin the club. They want to ruin the Soapstone Comedy Club. And
Yeah,
I mean, we got last night the the racism that we deal with in that room is disgusting to me, and it's awful. I mean, there are people that literally their goal is to create a fake account and come in and start yelling the N word as loud as they can, in just to get a reaction out of people. And it doesn't stop there. There's people that come in there and homophobic stuff, you know, yelling incredibly hurtful words at people that may be transgender or um, in the LGBTQ plus communities. People coming in, and I hate to even say this, but it's true. It's happened. People coming in and making jokes glorifying pedophilia. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and we got tools to ban people. We've got some things, but it's awful. And my team, man, my team, they take the brunt of it. I could
Right.
only be in so many places at so many times, but my team, man, this guy Xavier Strong, he, I mean, man, this guy, he's named appropriately. He is
Yeah.
a
Come on, X
strong
man.
man. Yeah, yeah. Xavier Strong, this guy, he's the voice of the Soapstone. He's on the welcome statement, and oh man, this dude, like, he is so strong. And almost every day, he gets called names based on his ethnicity, and I hate it. I hate it.
So is he?
Uh,
So let me ask you some things about, because you said like the first one that you named was the race, and then you just went back to the biggest thing you hate about Xavier is that he gets called this race thing. So when people drop in the N word, is it typically white folks, black folks, Hispanic folks, Indian folks,
so
Russians?
that's a good question, because it is different depending on who's dropping it.
Right.
And what I'm talking about is the white folks dropping it, because it's being dropped in a very hurtful manner. It's being dropped
Oh,
in an attacking manner. Now, there's black folks that come in too and will use it as a greeting almost,
right.
and even that, like, that's way different. But like I still I don't think we can allow that, because then we got to police it. Then we got to say, oh wait, you've got a card so you can say it.
Right.
You don't. Your
What kind of
avatar
card?
looks like you can. What's that?
What kind of card?
What, you trying to get me canceled? Oh
Yeah.
man, man.
So I'm assuming that Xavier Strong is a black dude.
He is a black man. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man. Yeah, that's a yeah. So even like when you, I don't know how much work you do in the comedy clubs, but if you go to a comedy club open mic night, for those who've never gone to one who are listening, man, open mic night at a comedy club, typically there are no, most of the audience, probably 90% of the audience are stand-up comedians.
Mhm.
A great deal of the comedians that are performing, or I probably say a great deal of the individuals performing at an open mic night, typically are those who are trying to climb the comedy ladder. Uh, Except for in the case like New York, LA, open mics are a little bit different. Those strong comedy communities, but typically in most cities, in most comedy clubs, they're individuals who want to be comedians, and they're testing the waters and they're trying to figure this thing out. And man, dude, my open mics are almost a necessity for growing comics. But dude, when I tell you that them things are a headache because of the grotesque content, dude, it's as filthy as it can get. It gets. And because you have a majority of the comedians in there will probably be some young comedians who are at that same level trying to get those cheap laughs and learn their way. Anything goes. And it's just so as I'm hearing you talking about it, I'm like, man, this sounds like an open mic night.
Right.
Just
Yeah,
man,
it's an open mic night with 30,000 people coming through in a month. It's
yeah.
yeah. Whew.
I wonder
Yeah.
what had happened. And I notice it's tough right now because of the infant stage that the metaverse itself is in
Hmm.
and the limited amount of professional comics who may have oculuses. Man, if you could, like, in a perfect world, if you had scheduled clean comedians who you know will bring it at certain times. Like, hey, you know what? I need comedian 1 through 10 here on Monday night, comedian 11 through 20 uh, on this particular night, on Tuesday night, 30, 21 through 30 on this particular night. But we're just not at a point where we can do that with the
Right.
Oculus.
Right. So
So
that's a good point, and like kind of the approach that I'm taking, and yeah, this is you never know what you're going to get at this podcast. This there could be a puppet. Anybody that's just listening and not watching the video, Jason's got a number of friends with him on screen.
absolutely. And I explained it and everything has a purpose. So that's a little weird.
Yeah, yeah. So the what I'm figuring the best way to control that is it's just a mathematical equation. It's about the ratio,
Yeah.
and because there's a certain number of people that are there to promote the vibe and the feel of the room that we're going for, and there's a certain amount of people that just either that don't know anything about it, and then there's a certain amount of people that are trying to destroy it.
Hmm.
And right now our ratios are off because of the exponential growth. Our ratios are off, and we're taking action to change that. The Team Soapstone Facebook group, that's one way that we can reinforce the culture that we're going for.
Yeah.
And then also the text, I mentioned last week, but this is a thing now, which also it's probably worthwhile mentioning. The rebranding is now complete. We changed from one name to UA's Comedy Club, and then we changed from UA's Comedy Club to now the Soapstone Comedy Club. And uh, I like that a lot better. People that know me in there were like, "Oh, I like UA's," but that it's too personalized on me. It needs to be
Right.
its own thing. And the Soapstone, like, that came from a community recommendation. Somebody who's involved in the room, actually two separate people thought of it and threw it out there, and said, "Hey, what about this for a name?" And I'm like, I love it. And then I dug into it and found out, I mean, there's a soapstone is meaningful. There's an educational technique that focuses on immersion, that is called the soapstone technique,
Mm.
for training. A teacher came in and was telling me about that. And then, of course, a soapstone is used in sharpening a knife. And the analogy, the picture of sharpening a knife is something that we want to do here. As far as sharpening comedic skills, and also even sharpening our ability to communicate with each other and respect each other.
Yeah.
So that just has been, it's so crazy that completing a 2-week rebranding process takes a sideline to the most amazing things that are going on or the most stressful things that are going on. But but that's complete. But in that completion process, we've now got the sword in the soapstone, which is a tool that can be used to remove anybody that happens to fall into the category we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
that are saying racist, homophobic, or otherwise disgusting stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of fun to do
Yeah.
because it makes this horrendous noise, and you hack at somebody and then they're gone forever. They
Wow.
can never come back to the room. There's a couple videos floating around of me having to utilize that tool, and they're all right. They're all right. But
Yeah.
there's another purpose of it too. Like this sword, I'm able to bring an unlimited number of people into the tech team, but it's not just by writing their name down. I can do a personal interview. I can do personal training. Coming back to what you and I were talking about before, and really make sure that we're on the same page, and that
Right.
these are the folks to be on the team, because we need a lot of people on the team, but we need very few of the wrong people on the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is cool. And so our ratios are going to be coming more into line with what we need to sustain the room. It's not there yet. I mean, just this morning I woke up to a slew of messages of just people being vicious and attacking my friends that are
Really?
in there, just trying to help the room go, and people are attacking them, and I don't like it, but they're going to get the
Wow.
sword.
So what are they? So if people who are protecting the room, if somebody doesn't like it, then they're contacting you saying, "Man, you're."
So the messages that I got this morning, that happens too. Like sometimes I'll get messages from people saying, "Yo, the people you got controlling the room, they're stepping way out of line." And I take all that with a grain of salt. I
Yeah.
listen to it, I hear it, but I take it with an incredible grain of salt, because the vast majority of the time, these are people that got kicked. These are people that were not there to endorse the club, and they're just lashing out at whoever they can see. So I
That's
mean,
amazing. First of all, let me distract you. Go off, chase this rabbit right quick, dude. That word, the wording that you use is amazing. An incredible grain of salt. Like that is wow.
Oh.
That is, wow, that is amazing. An incredible grain of salt. That is great.
Right, right. A huge small thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's you know what? This is what makes this time so special, because like I mean, again, like I don't know if you can see it in my eyes. I'm tired. I feel
Yeah.
beat down. But man, to get together with you and immediately feel rejuvenated and laugh, and that it's refreshing. It's so important. So
Hey
thanks,
man,
man.
laughter do it good like medicine, bro. It's
Yes, it does.
hey,
Yeah,
yeah,
next to medicine, it's one of the best medicines.
absolutely. So so back to the emails that you got this morning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued.
So again, I do get some emails that are complaining about the staff, which I'll always side on. I'll hear it, but I'll always side on the side of the staff if
Right.
there's any doubt whatsoever. Um, and if it is a true one, if it is a true complaint about the staff, that'll flesh itself out, and I'll know over the course of time. But the
Yeah.
emails that I get this morning are from the staff that are tired, from the staff that are being abused. Like, I mean,
Sure.
these folks are stepping. Like, I mean, I don't want to over dramatize it, but in a lot of ways, I mean, it's like a war zone.
Yeah.
You got people that are quite literally hostile people coming in to attack, and they're taking it on the chin. It's wild.
Wow.
And I should say
Well,
too, like that is a small number of people, but man, it's amazing. If you got a room of 24 people, it doesn't take very many to come in and just destroy it, you know?
right. So, man, if anybody's helping or being a positive participant or aid in Soapstone, we can't take it for granted.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom.
Boom, boom. Yeah, new
Yeah.
tagline, "Don't take us for granted."
Right.
We do have a tagline that came out of the community as well. It's now posted right up on the wall. It's bigger than the logo. It's right across the top of the wall, and it says, "We're all here because we're not all there." and
That's great.
Yep,
That
and
is
that
great.
came from the community, and I thought, yeah, that's good. Actually, my
I,
friend Random,
I
man,
don't.
the club manager, he was like, "We got to put that on the wall," and I'm like, "Yes."
That's great. Uh, the amazing thing is, I don't know if you realize it, but y'all changed your name the same week that the Washington Commanders changed their name.
Right, right. Yeah, you sent me that article midweek, and I'm like, "Oh man, our name change was easy." Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah, that's wild. And I mean, like, you look at organizations like that, and the drama that they have to go through in a name change, the expense involved, the hardship involved, and also um, the like their name change, of course, is way more dramatic and needed than even our name change,
Right.
but it makes me feel fortunate that the things that we're dealing with a name change, it was a 2-week process. I mean, like, it's amazing, like walking around in there, people are, it's Team Soapstone, it's the Soapstone, it
Yeah.
it stuck quick, and it helps though having the sword in the Soapstone, just because that makes it a little bit more memorable.
Right. So cool, man. So cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the biggest contributor to the weariness or the fatigue is just the monitoring of the I guess the I don't want to. I guess the antagonist of the club. What else is it? So that's number one. What else? What else would you say?
So I mean, it's been a busy week, for sure. Like, just the volume of stuff that's going on. Especially with the name change, especially with some of this battle. I felt like I need to be, like, in virtual reality more than I
Yeah.
really want to be, even. Uh, and so that's kind of draining. The content production schedules, those are starting to fall together. So I've got my getting my systems in place on when I'm going to capture the content, or when I'm going to plan the content, capture the content, process the content, and publish the content.
Right.
So all of those steps to get those mapped out, um, there's just a lot involved with that. Once those systems are in place, it'll be more repetitive and easier. But it's right now I've got to think up what to do at each step. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and
I
then
want.
with training too. Like we've talked a lot about training, and yesterday we had 2 training sessions, where we pulled a total of about 40 people in, and 100% of them made the cut to become tech. 100% of
Wow.
them. And what we did is we brought them in, and everybody got to introduce themselves and talk about their experiences in the room, and then we
Yeah.
went through and described what the role of tech is, which
Right.
it's the biggest thing. And I heard your voice in my head when I was talking about this, that the position of tech in the Soapstone is not an elevated position. It's not a position of glory or power. It's a position of service and humility. So with that, these folks have to realize that this is not a badge of honor to wear to take control of the room. It's a position of service to help take care of the people,
Right.
and they're going to take it on the chin. It's going to be it's going to be hard sometimes, and that's what they're signing up for. And then also, the other kind of key thing that I talked about there is the position of tech. They're in charge of making sure that this remains a safe place to laugh. Now, the laugh, that's the most important part in that equation, because if you lose the laugh, then it's all gone. So
Right.
we've got to make sure that um, we're not abusing people. We're not sucking all the joy out of the room by being overly controlling. Like you talked about different people. Is it a white person or a black person that says the N word? If it's a black person that says it in a greeting style manner, we don't need to jump in and abuse them and embarrass them about it.
Yeah.
We do need to ask, like, hey, this is what we're going for, this is why we're going for it. But we need to do that with respect, with appreciation, and all that. So and then ultimately, keeping it a safe place when people
Right.
are abusive, when people
Right.
are violating that line, then how to deal with that and how to get them out of there.
Yeah. And let me just say for the people who are listening, like, man, why does it matter who says the N word? Like, why was I even asking that? Because there's a and there are a few different train of thoughts, school of thought, excuse me, with the N word piece. But like, typically when you hear a white person using it negatively, it's a whole different ball game that's going on, as opposed to when the debate of if black people using it. So that's why I just asked. I just wanted I wanted to clarify that, or just address that for somebody who in the back of the mind, like, okay, what's really going on there. And I mean, if you want to know more, I'd love to have that discussion with you. If you want to, you can just contact me, at Aaron at unemployedalcoholic.com. No, but for real, reach out to me. For real. My website is jasonearls.com. Uh dude, man, I was looking at, somebody posted a picture in the Facebook group. Let me find it right quick, man, because I thought it was a cool picture. Um that I think it was, yeah, it's, and I hope I'm saying this right. Is it Chimera
oh,
Chaos?
Chimera
Chimera, sorry,
is, yep,
Chimera.
yep, yep.
Well,
Yeah,
she posted a picture, and there's a selfie, but it's behind the Soapstone staff only room.
yeah.
And when I saw that, this is the idea I had. So, man, what if there was and I think we may have talked about this before. So you got the comedy club, itself, the interior of the main room of the comedy club, with the bar, with the tables and stuff. Then you've got, the upstairs. Then you've got this room. Man, what if there was a, I know we talked about a training
Yeah.
facility, training area. Yeah, but another room where it's just a lounge that's outside the
Okay,
stage.
all right. So listen to this. And by the way, the people that were involved in building this are probably going to listen to this, and them hearing you unprompted bring that up is going to brighten their day. I guarantee
Yeah,
it. But there's about around, call it a dozen people that got together and built exactly what you're talking about, unprompted. Like they built it. It's called the Soapstone HQ, and you roll in there, and there's a table in the middle, and there's like comfy chairs all around. One gal came in and like did this beautiful painting. She's not a builder, she's not a creator in there, but she's like, I want to learn how to do this and do it. She came in and learned how to do a painting in there and did a beautiful painting. Like, oh, the way this team came together and did this unprompted. This was
right.
not a request. This was them saying, we want to do this. And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's the space. And that picture that you're talking about, she came through the training. She was one of the people that came through the training. And at the end of the
Nice.
training, Random Man took the group over to that spot that you just said, boy, wouldn't it be great if this existed? As of this week, it exists, and that's where that picture was
Yeah,
taken.
because I'm thinking like, man, this becomes, since your room is already like looking at the data, like how many people coming to the Soapstone. There's this idea of, man, I want to be around Soapstone. I
Yeah,
might not even want to hear comedy right now, but
yeah,
this is my tribe in the metaverse, and I just want to be with the people in my tribe. I don't want to go to the staff room because that's where it's that's a little bit more exclusive. But I want to be able
yeah,
to have this room, this place where I can go to in the metaverse to just hang out. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. So now it's, yo, come to the Soapstone, not just to hear comedy, but if you're
yeah,
looking for a cool place to be,
yeah.
just come and go to the you know, I don't know if the name should be HQ. That sounds a little old school, but
Yeah.
maybe it's the HQ
Well,
Lounge or
names can be changed.
yeah. You know what I do, man? I realize that, dude, I'm Gen X all day long, right?
uh,
And so like the folks who are really setting the next cultural relevance is Gen Z. And
mhm.
thankfully, man, I've got all six of my kids are Gen Zers. So
Yeah,
I'm always, when I need a name for something, I'll come up with the idea, and I realize every name that I come up with is old school. So
yeah,
I pitch it to my kids like, what y'all got? So they
yeah.
came up with, I told my kids, my wife and I, we made this marriage event, and it was dealing with like making people laugh, but also encouraging the marriage vow.
Mm.
And dude, I can't. Every name that I came up with was old school. I asked my kids, and in 2 minutes, they're like, "What about vow to laugh?" I was like, "That's it."
There it is. Yep. Yeah,
But I laugh, dude. I'm around here struggling with a name, so now I
yeah.
don't even struggle with names. I just find, you know, cats under. My son's 20, my daughter's, my oldest is 19 to 20. I just go and tell them, hand it
Well,
up.
and really, that's what I did with this name change. I had to change
Yeah,
it to something, so I threw UA's Comedy Club out there. I mean, it needed to have something, but then like the things that I was coming up with were not the right names. The
yeah,
things that I was getting at just they just weren't sticky. It just wasn't right. And so throwing it out to the community, and there were a ton of names that came in. A lot of them was good. My favorite was Comedy Central. Somebody's like, call it Comedy Central. I'm like, wait, you can't do that.
right,
That's a thing. So,
right.
but but no, sorry to whoever threw that out there. But
That's funny. Let's
yeah,
call
yeah,
it Caroline's.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Caroline's Comedy Club. But
That's
yeah, so
funny.
it's I
Or the
knew if I
Laugh
threw
Factory.
it
That's a
out,
good name.
right, right, yeah, yeah. So we threw it out there to just have just let it marinate and see what direction people go in and what this place means to them, and sure enough, like that name came in and it was like ooh. I think as soon as I saw it, I commented, ooh, I like this. But,
Yeah, man. Let me just speak to just encourage you on this and anybody else who's listening, dude. It's there's this proverb that says a lazy man desires lem-
hey,
the slacker craves and has nothing,
ooh,
but the soul of the diligent are fully satisfied, or the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. So the idea is, man, like, dude, you haven't been lazy with this metaverse piece. Uh, it's like the soul of the sluggard desires or craves and has nothing. Like there's a reality that in our efforts we can have great desires to see things come to pass. You can crave that, and it's very possible for you to crave and you have absolutely nothing to show for it.
Mm.
But then it says, but the soul of the diligent is richly supplied or fully satisfied. And there's this idea that, man, the desires that you have when you're diligent in those things, that there's this sense of satisfaction, of accomplishment. And dude, that's what I see with you. Although it's tough, although building this world is, is very time consuming, which you need to make sure that you protect yourself and manage your time well with that. But dude, you being diligent, and and those stats that you rattled off, the hard data that we have, man, shows that. So like, if we want data to look a certain way, we need to make sure we put in the diligence in it, and that's what this egg is about. This is from a book called "What Becomes What Do Ideas Become," and that's what this little
Oh.
tag on it says. So if you're listening, there's this. It's an egg with some orange legs and a gold crown on it. And I saw this at a store downtown Wiley, and at a children's boutique. And I saw the book, and I was like, "What? What do ideas become?" And dude, I got intrigued. I was like, "I'm buying the book." And then they had this plush toy with it. I was like, "Yeah, let me get that."
Yeah.
And so the book is about a little boy who has an idea, and the idea shows up in the form of this egg. It just shows up at his house one day. And he said, "Man, what do you do with an idea? That's the biggest question. What do you do with an idea?" And then so the idea just kept following him around. The idea wouldn't leave him. And so as it's following him around, he'd ask this question, "What do you do with an idea?" And then he realizes that you got to feed it. So you feed the idea. This idea won't leave you. You feed it. And when you feed it, it grows. And ultimately, when it grows, this idea, this egg, one day got wings as it started growing. It got wings, still in the form of an egg, and then it flew away, and it actually went out and became a full blown idea that was implemented. So the biggest question is, how do you feed an idea? Like,
Right.
and he's man, the kid says, man, he finds out that you got to feed an idea by spending time with it,
Mm. Mm.
like going over and over, thinking about it, thinking about it. That's how you feed an idea. And dude, that's what you're doing. That's why we're meeting now, talking and brainstorming together. It's the idea of feeding these ideas so they can grow up, and then at some point, the idea leaves you. It's out of your control because it became this thing of its own.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's what the metaverse is. That's what Soapstone is. It's some of the stuff has gotten out of control simply because you fed it, bro. So, and there's certain things that you're gonna be able to control with your idea, and there's certain things that you can't. But the things that you can, God grant me the serenity.
Oh, there it is.
There it is, brother.
Yeah. 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 That's wow, man. Yeah, that's a beautiful image of caring for an idea, feeding an idea, but then letting that idea take it on its own personality, take on its own
Yeah.
identity, and go do its thing. That's yeah. I mean, I I had a conversation with a marketing person earlier this week too. Actually, a friend of mine. She's an awesome person. Suzette Garvey is her name, and she owns a company called Storybent Creative. Brilliant lady, incredibly organized, and just in a short period of time, uh, she gave me three nuggets of advice that maybe I'll go into in a minute here. But I mean the her thing was actually, let me back up just a little bit, because the stuff that she was talking about is being organized enough with the ideas to let the ideas have their own to have their own personality and function.
That's
To
great.
to yeah. And the little tidbits that she gave me is one. Um, she's she encouraged me to put together a content schedule and time budget, to where, like, if I got, like, take this podcast for instance.
Yeah.
This podcast is a good example of that. Like, to have it scheduled to where, okay, on this day I'm planning for it. On
Uh
this
huh.
day, Friday at 11 o'clock, we're capturing the content. Then on Mondays, I'm processing that,
Yeah.
putting the video together, putting the audio clips together, all that stuff. And then on Tuesdays, I'll release it, so
Right.
having that schedule and then putting a time budget for each, so that if I am going over that time, I know it's time to wrap it up and not feed it too much. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. No,
Right.
don't
It's
wait
like
for it to be perfect. Just
right sitting at the
let
table
it fly.
sitting at the dinner table for 5 hours and the food get cold.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
What's
But
what's what's her name again?
her name is Suzette Garvey. She's
Okay.
out of Rockford, Michigan, but she's a brilliant writer and strategist. She's a person that can do that. And the other thing that she encouraged me on was to make sure that I'm flow charting out these workflows, because I've got this podcast, I've got the Saturday night headliner shows, and then there's some other things that I'm involved with. But to make sure that I'm documenting each step in that process, so that I don't have to think of what the next thing is to do and spend that emotional energy. But it's already laid out. Like, you're just going through the motions.
Dude.
I
That
could see you going, man, I want to dig into this. Let's talk, dude.
absolutely. Dude, I'm like, my goodness. That's why I said, dude, man, I would love to have a dude like you. I know we do this weekly, but man, I wish I had you. Like, man, we need to work in the same office, bro, and get
Right,
on the
right.
same team even more. Cause jeez,
Yeah.
that's what yeah, that's a gift. That's a that's a huge gift, ability just to, so a lot of us think through that, but to operate like that on a daily basis, in
Yeah.
particular when you are small staffed.
Yeah.
Right. If you had, a staff of maybe over 25 people to, 100, especially thousands, like you can actually hire that part out.
Yeah.
Tell people,
Yeah.
you make sure I got a flow chart with my ideas. You
Right.
make sure that's what I love about, some of these, creators, uh, in different industries. It's like, man, they have people like they can just sit back, lay down on a sofa and just dream, and everybody around them is making the stuff happen. When it's just
Right.
you and one other person, dude, that thing can be tough.
Well, and it's funny because it sounds like a to do. It sounds like a thing of expending more energy
Yeah,
to do a flow chart on what the steps of creating something. That's kind of intimidating and difficult work for the short term. But
right.
man, like, I mean, the reason I'm drained is because my emotional and physical energy is being expended. And some of that is on deciding what to do next. It's it to so to like actually Obama, when he was in office, he famously didn't spend any mental energy on what he was going to wear. That
Yeah.
was pre-decided. And why? Because the decisions that man was making were very taxing, and he
Yeah.
couldn't waste 1 ounce of emotional or mental energy on any decision that he didn't have to. So by flow charting these things out, it can conserve that energy. And then when I get one-on-one with somebody in the metaverse that might be rubbing me the wrong way, hopefully I'll have the capacity, the energy reserves to address it in a positive manner,
Right.
and make a positive impact.
Yeah. And just speaking to that, man, one verse that I always quote to my wife, a proverb, when, like when she's a little frustrated just because, my wife likes a clean home. And she's like, man, we like y'all need to clean up a little bit more. I'm like, yeah, we do. But just know where there's no oxen, the barn, the barn is clean. And that's the idea of like, hey man, if you don't have any ox, you gonna have a clean. Thank you, bro. This is my son, man.
Hey, how you
Aaron,
doing,
meet Aaron.
Oh, you have a
Aaron?
dope name, man.
Hey,
That's the name. Your mother did you
virtual
well.
fist bump. There we go. Good. Aaron, I met you. I met you in Wiley a
Okay.
couple years back at the CCA conference. You and your siblings came out one night, and it was an Earls party going on in there. Music was bumping, and people were having a good time. So, man,
Yes,
it's
sir. Yes,
good to see you. You're bigger than a couple. What are you? They feeding you and
sir.
everything?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Good
He
to see
just,
you, man.
he was in Brazil as well. He went
He
to
did go to
Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah. Actually,
Oh, cool.
I did a video with him and my daughter talking about it. It's pretty awesome, dude.
Cool,
Yeah,
cool.
pretty awesome.
So,
Yeah,
was it
man.
your
So
other son? Was it your other son that wasn't able to go to Brazil, or was it
no,
him and he?
he wasn't able to go at first, but
Oh,
then he tested negative and was able to get on a plane and
okay,
go.
so this is a callback because I just edited that episode where the phone
Ah,
call came in from your daughter, and you prayed with her, and you prayed, Lord, if it's possible, please allow him to still go. Let him overcome this virus, and if it's possible, please let him go. So this is
wow.
this is
Oh wow, that's amazing, man, dude. God, we ask God for some stuff, forget that we asked, and he,
That's
it's
right.
great. We were grateful. We celebrated, we rejoiced, but I forgot about that. I prayed with her then on that.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
awesome, man.
It was so far in these conversations, to me that was one of the highlights of the whole thing because it was
Wow.
so transparent and so powerful. Not even know that it was going to come right back around because of a cup of Starbucks. This episode sponsored
Yeah,
by Starbucks.
absolutely.
Yeah, man. All right,
Hey,
that's
dude.
wow.
Speaking of which, man, so man, you should do not that, and this. Trust me, this won't add a lot more to your plate.
Mhm.
But man, like some soapbox, like coffee mugs, some
Oh
some
yes,
water cups,
yeah.
and some hats. Like I got this hat, Jason Earls Comedy. I'm not. This is more of a prototype because I'm like, man, nobody's gonna buy a hat with my name and my logo. That's ridiculous.
Oh, people will for sure. I
You think?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Ma-
so.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
my unworthiness popping up. I'm like, who wants to buy a hat with Jason Earls on it? That's just weird. My kids are like, yeah, you right, Dad.
Well, you got to go with them. You got to go with them on it, probably. But I mean, I'd wear it. I'd wear it. People would be like, Jason. I'm like, no, no.
Yeah. But I think that's what, like, dude, I need me some unemployed alcoholic gear so
All
I can
right.
rock.
So off this, I'll get your address from you, and we'll send you something. We'll send you at least this. This is my favorite. This is my unemployed alcoholic drink coaster.
Oh, sweet.
We'll send you some of them.
So
and,
good.
and yeah, we'll do some Soapstone gear too. Like I don't know what it'll be yet, but there we'll have some swag for sure.
Yeah, I think when you did your branding, did you, like, who did the branding of your colors?
For the Soapstone,
Yeah.
So that so there's a guy that goes by the name of Oculos 410 in the
Okay.
metaverse, and he kind of planted the seed on the vibe and the color feel for the logo there.
Okay.
Basically, he was talking about a very simplistic, like black and white feel, just a solid thing. So that kind of laid the groundwork on that, and then the coloration of it that just kind of came to me. I wanted a real earthy color that has a
Yeah.
pattern in it that represents soapstone, which is soapstone is a real thing.
Right.
So it was, and then a gal that goes by the name of Solaris 30 in there. She's a wonderful designer. And my first swipe through the club of redoing the colors did not go well. And she came in and she was like, let me help you out here a little bit, and so she came through and fixed everything that I broke with the colors.
Yeah, dude. I became intrigued when I first did my first ever branding, and the designer, the graphic designer, made me fill out this questionnaire asking me about feelings. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just do a
Yeah.
logo. And he's like, he said, yeah, but different colors evoke different emotions. And so you got to ask yourself, when people look at your logo, when they look at Jason Earl's comedy, what feelings do you want them to have immediately? Man, like what if your branding was like a vehicle, what type of vehicle do you want like to represent your, like he ask a lot of questions, man. And so from that, it's like then when once my brand guide came out, it's like, okay, here's the color scheme we came out because you said this. Here's what we notice about your brand, about you. Here's what you bring, this encouragement, but this loyalty, you want that to be an undercurrent theme. Dude, it was just this big scientific thing. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So now I'm always I'm always intrigued about colors, and even I watch myself when I see certain colors and what emotions are, evoked. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting. I went through more of that process with the unemployed alcoholic brand.
Yeah.
Like working through that, and the yellow in that is a very specific decided upon color.
And I
That's
feel it. When I
yeah,
see
yeah,
that unemployed alcoholic stuff, it makes me feel a certain way. It's like I'm gonna tell you what without you telling me what your color's
yeah, yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
do. Like your when I see your logo, I feel hopeful.
Ooh,
I feel like I feel encouraged and bright. Like if I feel good, I feel hopeful. I feel good, encouraged, and I feel like yes, I can do it. Like that's what I feel, and I want to be a part of that. That's what your
well,
logo does
man,
for me.
so I missed the mark because I wanted it to be off-putting and discouraging. So
Are you serious?
no, no, not at all. No, no, that's
That's hysterical.
yeah. I wanted it to depress people and bum them out. No, no,
Oh,
that's
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 funny.
that's awesome to hear, and that's I wanted the yellow is a bright and hopeful color, and the smile in there, with that's awesome to hear. That's exactly what I would hope to hear somebody say when they look at my logo. That's lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you for that feedback, man.
you're welcome, bro. And so the big question is, does soapstone stuff do that for other people?
Yeah, and it probably doesn't, to tell you the truth. But it was like I don't know. The feel that I was going for with that was solid and understated. Like that's what I wanted. And I don't know why that's
Yeah,
what I wanted, but that's what I just wanted the club to be the club and have it solid and understated, and and I think I think we got that with the logo, but it's,
Yeah.
yeah. And also it's like, I don't want it to be too, there's a risk that we'll take ourselves too seriously in a comedy club. And maybe even the logo uh, pushes us more in that direction. But some of the things that I was coming up with, like as far as the name and look, it was really bordering into that. Man, this is going to be us taking ourselves too seriously. Let's not forget that. I mean, what we're doing here is a stage so people can laugh.
Yeah.
It's got to be fun.
Yeah. I think what part of me originally, uh when you first started it, I think what drew people was like, it felt like, yo, I get to be a part of this like real legit, you know, comedy
Yeah,
club. And so that was part of the draw. Question is, do you want to still keep that? I mean, well, you already settled on the name, so no
yeah.
need to dig there.
But I mean, this is an important part for people to recognize. Like it's not like the way that something comes into existence is not like it's not an instantaneous thing.
Absolutely.
Anytime there's creativity involved, anytime there's entrepreneurship involved, it's this seesaw back and forth of, this is the brilliantest idea I've ever come up with, to what in the hell was I thinking? Like it's this back and forth emotional roller coaster of this is the coolest thing to this is worth nothing, and it's going to destroy everything around. So this is good for people to see. Yeah, boom, there's the name, but there's always going to be rethinking, and because nothing's ever perfect, nothing's ever
Absolutely.
right. It's
Everybody
just,
does that.
is it good? Does it win more than it loses? Ooh, what do you
Everybody
got
does it.
there? Oh,
I'm saying
okay.
every
Man, I
every
thought
every major company does that.
that's right. That's right.
You look at
Yeah.
I was just looking at some like all the different Chick-fil-A logos over the years.
Yeah.
Look at Chuck E. Cheese. Dude, I don't know if you've been to Chuck E. Cheese lately.
I didn't. I thought they were out of business. Like, there's.
Dude, Chuck E. Cheese lost weight, dude. Dude, Chuck E. Cheese went vegan, man. He not eating cheese anymore.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
yeah, Chuck E. Cheese is eating almond cheese. That's what he's doing, dude. It's so funny. Now,
They could do
so
the Cookie Monster rebranding where he was what was he, the vegetable monster for a
yeah, the vegetable
short
monster.
minute. Yeah.
So
Chuck E.
ridiculous.
Cheese could be Chucky Almond Cheese.
Yeah. All Ronald McDonald
Yeah.
does is eat salads now.
Right, right. Yeah, super easy for kids to engage with. Actually talking about McDonald's and like both getting it and blowing it with branding. So McDonald's, I don't know if you remember, but years back they had a sandwich that they were trying to market towards adults, because they're looking at it and they're like, man, our draw is for kids. We want a sandwich. I think it was called the Big and Tasty, and
I remember that.
and and they put billboards up for like a week that showed the Big and Tasty, and kids looking at it and going, yuck. Like literally a
Oh,
giant McDonald's billboard with the Big and Tasty and a kid looking at it going, yuck. Like, and sitting around the boardroom, they're like, man, we got to tell adults that this is for them. How do we do that? Oh, let's do this. Meanwhile, like
I don't want to go to McDonald's.
right, exactly. Yuck. but yeah, so it's like you talk about that seesaw, that roller coaster back and forth of, did I do the right thing? Did I do the wrong thing? Companies do the right thing sometimes and the wrong thing sometimes. And it's not about avoiding the wrong things altogether. It's about having enough of the right things to be able to roll through those.
That's so good, bro.
Yeah.
So good.
Well,
Dude,
man,
man.
we ought to wrap this up. I feel like if we're not careful, we'd end up looking down at our watch and it'd be like next Thursday afternoon sometime.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.